Hello, hello, hello. It's your hostess with the mostest, Demishia Samuels, LinkedIn strategist, all things helping high performing professionals build online brands and businesses. We are here for another awesome interview in the fifth annual, that's right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth annual Corporate Hustle Virtual Summit, hosted by yours truly, like I said earlier, because y'all know I love to repeat myself, because y'all don't be hearing me the first time I say things. But I hope that you've been enjoying the days here as we go on. If not, you need to leave comments. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. You know how y'all have opinions out there in the world. Today, we have the awesome Tiffaney Graham, who is all things money. All things money. When I say all things money, I don't even mean that in a superficial, like physical money that you touch, but having that right mindset about money, having the ability to seize opportunities when it comes to creating money in your life. You want to keep in touch and agree with these type of people. So even though you can't physically touch her right now, you are going to be in her presence for the next, 20 minutes or so. Soak it in, get your notes out. Be intentional about when you're hearing people speak, because you never know what nugget might be dropped on you, what gem might be there to spark you into action, to make you begin to execute. So without, me going on and on my, my pedestal about a situation, Tiffaney, tell the people who you are, what you do, and what brought you to the summit.
Hey, y'all. This is Tiffaney, as Demishia just shared with you guys, aka Miss CFO. And I am a money and mindset coach where I help ambitious professional women to develop their confidence with money, to create a financial strategy to achieve financial freedom on their own terms. I am here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I appreciate you, Demishia, for having me on the panel today. I'm excited to get into this topic. I love money mindset. I can talk about it for days and days and days and days and days. So let's get into this.
First of all, as you use the word, what is financial freedom? We hear this word all the time, but what does financial freedom actually mean?
Sure. So I'll give you the airy-fairy definition, and I'll give you the financial definition. So the airy-fairy definition is just, having the ability to do what you want, when you want, wherever you want, with whom you want. The financial definition is when your passive income is more than your expenses. So basically, you are not actively having to work to be able to take care of yourself financially.
Okay, y'all hear that? Because some of y'all think that financial freedom means I left my corporate job. And that's not what financial freedom means, okay? It's when the passive income exceeds them expenses. So everybody's financial freedom looks different because everybody's expenses are different and the lifestyle that they want to lead, right? So let's talk about that. Because we sometimes like to, lump it in all as one thing, all as one financial freedom. But let's talk about how lifestyle plays a very, significant thing when it comes to this thing we're trying to call financial freedom, or get to, rather.
Sure. So, you know what? I mean, people may not want to hear this, but there's some homeless people who are financially free. Because when they stand outside on the corner and the money that they get from people, for a lot of them, far outweighs the expenses that they have, because they don't really have no real expenses. So technically, a lot of them are financially free. They have a very low cost lifestyle. So a lot of times when we think about women, we spend. A lot of us could really be financially free, but when we start making more money, we want to elevate our lifestyle. Every time we get that raise, every time we get the bonus check, we think about, oh, what can I go get? So let me go get a bigger house. Let me go get a nicer car. Let me go start wearing designer clothes now. Instead of me doing my own nails, I'm going to go and get my nails done every 2 weeks. So we just always constantly finding ways to add to our lifestyle instead of figuring out ways of, let me take this income and figure out how I can go create more income or more assets, or more things that's going to add to our bottom line.
I love that. You're right, because listen, when I started making more money, I was like, can we just upgrade the weave at least? Can we upgrade the hair? Right? We're getting some Mongolian, whatever y'all got. Give me the next level of it. I don't left the regular Virgin Remy alone. Let's go up one. So yes, I completely get it. Let's talk about it. Let's rewind though. How did Tiffaney become Miss CFO?
Ooh, that's a good question. It was a journey. I will say this. I was always that girl who was just excited about money from a young age. Like, so that was back in the day now. I know I look young, praise God, but I am grown. And so back in the day, I remember we used to have those passport books. I don't know if everybody remembers those, but we had the passport books. So you used to go to the bank and they would stamp your book and it gives you like your updated balance. I was that girl who was super excited about going to the bank and getting it stamped, making sure that my checkbook was balanced, saving money, working. As soon as my aunt and uncle let me work, I was like, listen, let me go figure out how to go get my money so I can do what I want to do. So I was always that person. I ended up working in finance right after I graduated from college. I didn't plan it, but it just happened. And that opened up my eyes. I grew up almost in two different worlds. I say my lifestyle when I grew up with my grandparents and my mom, which was filled with just struggle. My grandma lived in a hood in North Carolina. And so I saw a lot of just struggle. There was constant fights about money. I had a mom who was an addict. So it was a lot of just money was a very tough situation. And I knew in my head as a kid, there was more to life than struggling for money. I remember we would always ride on like the nice side of town. I would see these big houses and I was like, how do they get there? So I was always very curious. And then when I went to go live with my aunt and uncle, they were well off and it opened up my eyes to experiences that I never saw. And so it created like this hunger and this thirst for just knowledge for me. And when I got into the finance space and I started really working with people who made more money than I could ever imagine, I would get super excited about like studying financial statements, figuring out like, what were you doing? How did you get to this place? And I was just like, wow. And I'm a big believer in experiences, like having exposure to things. Like once you're exposed to, new ways of living, new opportunities, new, experiences, you just can never be the same again. So it woke something into me that I realized where there's more to this money thing than just going to work, paying bills, that whole thing. I really started focusing on the lifestyle and figuring out how I can be able to use money to just do whatever I want to do. And it really didn't come solid for me where this Miss CFO was created until I went through an experience of loss. I started making six figures, at a young age. I was a single mom and working in the finance space, I was able to start making a lot of money early. But it wasn't until I lost everything, I jumped out to be an entrepreneur. No plan. I got money in the bank. I know what I'm doing. And that totally failed. I made some bad investments and basically lost everything besides my home. I saved that by the skin of my teeth. And going through that loss and really realizing that I had to start incorporating how I thought about money, how I thought about myself, how I looked at money and the ways to make money differently that was the time when the Miss CFO was created, because I realized it's not just about going to work and making money. It's about shifting and becoming a new person and realizing that I can create money from any and everywhere.
I love that. I love that. You guys, it was a shift. That was what I took from that. And I love that you tied in your two worlds, because I was that way. Staying with my grandma was very different from staying with my mom. And those houses, there's something about driving through those houses that always you're like, how did those people do that? Because I used to think that those were the Cosby Show people. Like, okay, as soon as I'm a lawyer, doctor, or whatever, I get the house. I'm an engineer, right? So I'll go and become an engineer. And wait, so this still not enough? So you saying they made this? Oh, really? They don't even have jobs? Oh, really? They're entrepreneurs? Like, nobody told me. Just, like, most of them are creating their own mindset, their own wealth in their own way. So I love that you were able to envision it, take it, and didn't lose quite everything, but you lost enough to make you shift and think about your mindset differently. Now, what are some clues that we need to shift our mindsets besides our bank accounts?
Sure. So you really have to think about the type of conversations that you have around money. And I really say, you have to be careful about how you talk about money, because a lot of times we have a lot of broke conversations and we don't realize that. We be like, oh, girl, this gas is high. These groceries are high. We just have all of this negative conversation that we don't realize. And so the more that we have these negative conversations, the more that we are focused on the negative part of money. So one of the big things is just being mindful of how you speak. And a lot of times it's being very conscious. And I always say, you have to use cancel. I love saying cancel that, because sometimes I'll speak something and then I'll be like, ooh, let me cancel that statement, because I realize what I'm putting out into the atmosphere about the way that I'm speaking. Also, especially for those who are entrepreneurs, one of the things that you really need to focus on is your pricing, your what you are giving away in your business, because a lot of us really pimp ourselves out when it comes to our business, because we have this worth issue around charging our value, sticking to our boundaries, denying customers, clients who can't afford us, just really devaluing ourselves. And then when we think about when we're making this transition from corporate life to entrepreneurship and we're struggling, a lot of times it's just simply because we're devaluing ourselves, because we have this fear around money. We're thinking, if I just give them an opportunity, or they can pay just a little bit, they can pay just a portion, that will be okay. So when we start creating that and allowing people to do that, that leads us into a constant trend of doing that. And then before we look up, we exhausted all of this time, gave all this energy, and we're still not making the money that we need to make. And then wondering why we're on this hamster wheel of struggle when it comes to our business. So one of the things you have to just really think about is if I put this price tag on here, I put that price tag on there for a reason. And even sometimes we need to analyze our price tags. There's a lot of us, we need to be charging double of what we are charging, but it's about understanding this is how much this cost. And I'm going to stand firm in that. We're not going to be sitting on having strategy calls that are or consultation calls that are supposed to, giving away free coaching. So looking at all those different things that you do, over giving being crutches for people. A lot of times we feel like, okay, I'm making money and now I'm going to take care of all of my family. We're, creating enablers. So those are just different ways and patterns to think about how you're over giving, and how you are undervaluing yourself, and then the conversations and the languaging that you have when it comes to money.
Oh, okay. All right, y'all. So let's say we're at the state where I'm like, all right, I know that I started shifting my conversation, watching my mouth. I understand that I need to shift some things when it comes to my money mindset. Tiff, what is your opinion about, do I need a money coach or do I need a therapist? How we balance the two that we got going on here?
Oh, you need both. And I say this, so I'm often a therapist. I remember when I was working for the bank, I felt like honestly, 5% of the conversations that I have were therapy style conversations. And that's really why I started incorporating a lot of the mindset into my money conversations, because for most things, it's not a financial issue that you're dealing with. A lot of it is a internal issue. It's a personal issue. It's a confidence issue. It's just something that you are thinking about yourself, or you're not thinking about yourself, that has you into the current financial situation that you're in. So if you can couple the two, so if you can have a therapist that you're working with who is helping you to get rid of some of the negative patterns that you have with self, who is helping you to start, transforming, how you think, heal some of the old childhood traumas that you have about yourself, where you're going. A lot of our money issues are related to old childhood wounds. So if you can do that while also using a money coach who is helping you to tie the work you're doing in with a therapist to the work that you're doing with the money, sky's the limit for you.
Yes, both you guys. Now, as we're going out here and we decided we want to open our businesses, we're getting confident, we're having better conversation about ourselves. What advice would you give us for just pushing forward and making sure we're actually creating these passive incomes in our lives, not just building another business, not just building a job that's not tied to a 9 to 5, right? Because some people have a 9 to 5 and then all they do is exchange it for another business that just basically is just like having a 9 to 5. You're tied to it. So describe to the people that like to actually say, hey, I want to make sure that I'm creating some type of passive income in here as well.
Mm-hmm. So you need to start looking at, and what I call them, your wealth vehicles, and looking at places to where you're putting the money in, but the money is doing the majority of the work instead of you actually physically doing the majority of the work. So what does that look like? That could look like investing your money into, say, real estate, for example. That could be you setting up an Airbnb. That could look like you setting up, housing for traveling nurses, or that could look like you being a long-term renter, to where up front, it might take you a little bit of work because you got to go and you got to set it up and you got to, furnish it and do all of that. But then after that, the work is the asset is primarily running off of itself. You're not doing the heavy lifting. So it's not like you got to go and open the door for the people. At that point, you're just, saying, hey, this is available. And then you're going and you're collecting the money. That also looks like putting in your money into, say, mutual funds or stock markets, to where up front, the work may be, getting the education, knowing, picking the right opportunities to invest in. But once you do that, once you put the money in, now the money is doing the bulk of the work. And so you're just going back in and you're just checking on it. You may shift, your investments a little bit, move it from this stock to another stock, move it from this mutual fund to another mutual fund. But at that point, the heavy lifting is off of you. Now you're just, focusing on, is the money doing what it's supposed to do? Is it, going up enough? Is it, building enough, as opposed to, I got to go in here every single day, spend 6 hours a day, sitting here, managing my, my stock account. So looking at ways to where, all right, I may say, I'm going to take, X period of time up front to learn this skill set, to be able to create this, passive income stream. That can also look like people who have a business, and looking at ways to where you can have an ebook that you create. And so now, again, the upfront work is, creating the ebook, but then now you have it up on your site, and now you're just running traffic. You could be running some paid traffic to it, to where you're not sitting there out in the streets every day saying, buy my book. The ad and the money of the cost of paying for the ad is doing the heavy lifting. So now you can go off and you can do something else. So it's just looking at things like that don't require your constant daily attention.
I love it, you guys. I always tell you, corporate hustle is all about getting money, automation, and systems to work for you instead of you doing all that work. So give us some, any resources or books you think we should be out here reading, or podcasts. We want to know what you listening to, what you reading, what are you out here doing? Do you have a book? We need to know what should we be feeding our minds to just constantly make sure that we are having the proper mindset or feeding it that way?
Sure. Think and Grow Rich is like my Bible. I think I've read it, I don't know, probably 5-6 times at this point. But Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is a great one. Another one by Napoleon Hill, which is called the 7 Laws of Success, is another great one too. Those are really, really good for your money mindset. One that I'm reading again right now, Profit First, one of my favorites. This is really great for entrepreneurs if you really want a good money system to create and develop. That one is dope. The Power of Now, it is a really good mindset book. It's really good for helping you to shift and stay focused in the current moment. It is a heavy spirituality book, but it is great for taking out a lot of the anxiety. A lot of times when you're in that, trying to, run a corporate job, have a business, maintain your life, there's a lot of anxiety that is creating because you're going. This is a great book that teaches you how to stay focused where you are, and how to allow yourself to be able to receive more opportunities as well. What's some of my other favorite ones? Battlefield of the Mind is another great one by Joyce Meyer. It's another one that's really good for money mindset. I'm trying to think of the name when it's right here on my shelf. Hold on one second, because let me get this one. Because this one is excellent. This is my Black women. You have to read this one. The Black Woman Millionaire is excellent. That's a great one to help you to put your money mindset together and financial strategy together. So that's just a few that I love.
Oh, yes. I love it. I'm gonna get these 3, you guys. I don't know if y'all was taking notes, but I be taking notes on my own interviews, and I got the replay. So if you ain't got it, I don't know what to tell you. But The Power of Now, Battlefield of the Mind, and The Black Women Millionaire. Those are the 3 that I know that I've never read any of those 3, you guys. So let's jump on them. Tiffaney, give us any advice that you think that would be relevant to the corporate hustle nation out here, and let us know how we can stay connected with you.
Sure. One thing I will say is use your resources, maximize everything that has to come with your job. A lot of times people devalue their jobs and they feel like, oh, I'm not going to take all these vacation days. Oh, I have all these benefits, but I'm not using them. Like, listen, you should know every single benefit, opportunity, resource that your job offers. That is your compensation. That is your money. If you don't use that, you are leaving money on the table, and we do not do that. So that is one thing that I would really say. Maximize any and everything there. Also, be open to opportunities. I really feel like when you are focused in and you have elevated your money mindset, then you have more opportunities to be creative about the opportunities that you can receive when it comes to money. So don't be fearful of, I don't have the money to do this right now, or I don't know how to do this. If the opportunity has come your way, that is often a hint, clue that this is for you. Your job is not to figure out the how it's going to get done. Your job is to allow and receive the opportunity. And then once you're in, you go figure that out. Listen, there's no limit to information out here. There's always someone, a resource, a guide, a partnership that you can establish that can help you to get the thing that you want to get done. So the biggest thing is just be open to opportunities. And I cannot say this enough, you guys. Be mindful of the words that you speak and the environments that you are around. When you are on your financial freedom journey and your journey to really live this free lifestyle, you can't play games with where you are, because the littlest thing can throw you off path. having these conversations that you think, oh, we're just, having this in jest. No, I can just go over here and hang out in this negative environment and then go back and still be in my mood to be prosperous and building this business. You can't play like that. Like, you have to be very clear cut in your boundaries. And once you build that discipline, there's more opportunities that's going to be open for you. And lastly, you can find me at all social media platforms at MISSCFO. I'm on all the channels there. So, and on Facebook, the Rich Miss Society, where we, help women to transform into rich misses, because this is a lifestyle. Okay. This is not something that we just do with money. We live the rich miss lifestyle.
Oh, I love it. I love it, you guys. There is so much opportunity on the other side of getting disciplined about this financial mindset. If you missed anything, get the replay. Okay, get the replay. Click the button and get the replay. You have been sprinkled gems, nuggets that should just brighten your day of knowing that you can completely manifest and will and control money. If we just get all the other things out of the way, all the other blocks, all the other minutia that's in your way, everything you want can be done. It's just about getting into the right environments with the right mindset and seizing those opportunities. It has been a pleasure, of course, to interview you, Tiffaney. Y'all find Miss CFO. Y'all join the Rich Miss Society. I need to go hang out over there and sprinkle some more all things on myself to make sure you're in environments. There are free environments you can get in. She just named one. There are reading a book is an environment for the time that you're reading it. So there's different ways there's no excuses why you can't be in positive money mindset environments. So we put all those excuses to rest during this interview, because just rewatching this interview over and over again can put you back into your positive mindset and keep you there, right? So I have enjoyed you. I look forward to, of course, collaborating, working with you all the time, all the things. This has been another great interview of the 5th Annual Corporate Hustle Virtual Summit. I am Demishia. That's Tiffaney, also known as Miss CFO, and we are out.